My name is Eva Chen, and I'm the Beauty and Health Director and Special Projects Editor at Teen Vogue.
Hi, my name is Danielle Nachmani, and I'm a fashion stylist.
My name is Gala Darling, and I'm a writer and a blogger and a speaker.
I am Karen Rabinovitz, and I am the co-founder and chief creative officer for Digital Brand Architects.
I went to college at Johns Hopkins University.
I'm originally from New York. My father's from Israel, though, and I go back every single year.
I'm originally from Wellington, New Zealand, which is a really long way away.
I grew up in New Jersey, Exit 9, very glamorous. And then I went to Emory in Atlanta.
And I went to Syracuse University.
And I went to Victoria University in Wellington.
My style in college, I guess that's a long way of saying, was bad.
I did not have the freshman 15, I had like the freshman 30.
So I was kind of coming out of my goth phase at the same time, so I would wear like a big poofy like white vintage dress with stripy stockings.
I just kind of wanted to keep my sound. I never wanted to go back on it and be kind of lazy, which I think is the college kind of look or aesthetic.
Sweatsuit. And I used to wear big, oversized Champion sweatshirts every single day.
I remember when, cropped pants, I wore like cropped jeans and everyone was like, what's wrong with your jeans? Like, they're too short.
So like a lot of men's pants with like my Converse never came off.
Not until my senior year, and that was grunge. It was all about grunge at that time.
A lot of just, messenger bags, like sweaters, just really relaxed. I had a lot of like army jackets.
In a day, Steve Madden, kind of chunky loafer platforms, they were like the hottest thing in the world. I wore a lot of those and kind of clomped around campus like a, horse.
It was like the grunge, Seattle, 4 flannels, combat boots, skull cap.
And I was really obsessed with this terrible dog collar that I bought from the supermarket, which was like black with little studs and red stitching. It was so bad, but I loved it and I wore it every day.
I never had that, big eureka moment that a lot of people have when they're very young, and I think that's one difference between my generation and the young generation that's in college right now.
I don't think that there was ever a moment. I don't remember a time where I didn't want to be in fashion.
I think I always was interested in fashion. My mother owned a clothing boutique and I kind of grew up in the back room. Like I would go there after school every day and I would hear what was going on in the store. And so I feel like I absorbed a lot of that by osmosis. Fashion
was always a huge thread from my childhood of wanting to dress up. I mean, the minute I could put heels on, I was, the minute I could crawl, I was in my mom's closet.
What sparked my interest, I think that it was always a form of expression, and I think that I really held on to that growing up.
I feel like I had no idea what working at a magazine entailed. I literally had zero idea. I read magazines, I consumed them, but I didn't realize it was a job. So I didn't really realize that I wanted to work in magazines and in fashion until I interned. And I really interned. I interned at Harper's Bazaar.
But it was always something that interested me, like clothing and expressing yourself through clothing was always something that interested me. So when I started my blog, it seemed like fashion, writing about fashion and style was a natural thing for me to do.
I wanted to take one summer off just to try something totally crazy and different. And I got an internship at Bazaar. And it was really eye-opening to me because it made me realize that there's a whole wide world of careers out there that I just never really realized.
And I think that over time it just became more and more clear what I wanted to do in fashion. So I think once I started to get magazines and read, I started to notice like, oh, there's somebody who creates this story.
I loved glamour and sequins, and I would go shopping with my mom and I'd love styling her, and she'd just wear these like amazing outfits and these wide brim hats, and she was always like head to toe done, and so I've always loved it. I just didn't know it could be my career.
And I think for me, it was always about like, I would read through magazines and what I would be looking for were the credits.
Well, like I said, for me, it was kind of a fluke. When I interned at Bazaar, I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, this is exactly, I didn't even realize this was a job and this is what I want to do.
I think the stuff started probably in high school. We had a high school fashion show that stores would just donate clothes, and I volunteered to style like 150 students.
I started my blog and I ran it for like a year and a half in Australia.
Well, I interned when I was in college for Women's Wear Daily, which was my segue into Women's Wear Daily being my first job, where I stayed for 3.5 years.
I really think that I just took any opportunity and created it into something bigger. When I was 17 and all my friends were at the beach or at summer camp or being counselors or doing kind of like a fun job, I was in the city on the subway, like interning.
And I moved to New York, and when I moved to New York, it kind of exploded and got really huge.
After Harper's Bazaar, I worked at Lucky magazine, and I worked in the fashion closet there, and I did credits, which at Lucky is a pretty daunting task.
Every summer I spent my summers interning, and I was fortunate enough the following summer to meet Andrea Lieberman, who at the time was the only known stylist, really, and she had Gwen Stefani and J-Lo and all these people, and I was like, I want to work for you for free, and she was like, all right.
And then I came over here to Teen Vogue, so I've been at Teen Vogue for 6 years now, and it's truly a dream job. Like, I love everything about my job. I love working with young people. I love talking to college students.
I had no security, and I said my goal is to write for the New York Times. I pitched the New York Times at least every 10 days for, I don't know, 8 straight months, and they finally said, you know what, yes, write for us, and then I wrote for them every single week for 5 years.
I feel super lucky to be working with Amy Astley, who is just not just a great editor and, you know, obviously the founding editor of Teen Vogue. She also is just a great human being.
I think that for me, it's any stylist that kind of has a look. Like, you can see something and be like, that's her.
I really admire women who have been in the fashion industry for a long time and have built this like empire.
I look up to a lot of different people who I think represent different aspects of a career or a sensibility.
Someone like Grace Coddington is a perfect example. There's not an editorial that I would ever see that I wouldn't know that it was Grace. Or, you know, an Emmanuel Alt from French Vogue, the same thing. It's
Like Bitsy Johnson and people like Roma Kamali, like and Diane Westerberg.
Mindy Grossman, who is the CEO of HSN, to me is a brilliant genius, powerhouse, marketer.
Of course, working in the Vogue family, you are in total awe of Anna Wintour at all times.
like a Petra Flannery or a Cher Coulter, like, you know when they do something.
But I draw a lot of like inspiration and support from my family, like and the women in my family, like my mom and my grandmother and my dad too. Some of the things I did was I kept in touch with everyone I interned with.
The fashion industry can be really competitive and kind of bitchy and like unfriendly.
No matter what happens, do not give up. If this is something you want, if you feel like you would die if you couldn't do this, then you should not give up.
I was so in love with the world of styling and the world of fashion that I would be asked to make a photocopy, and like I would treat it as if I was being told, you know, that I was doing a job like I'd be doing right now.
You're in a class, intern class of 2011 or whatever together, and someone might end up working at Vogue, and you're looking for a job, and she'll be like, oh, I heard there's something open at Teen Vogue.
That will be recognized. I know when I hire girls to help me, I recognize it. And it bothers me when I don't see it, because I'm like, this is an opportunity that I would have killed for when I was your age.
You don't have to be like that. You don't have to buy into that. You can be supportive and encouraging